Hey guys, I hope all is well. Well, I want to tell you guys another personal story. It's really crazy how it all happened, and it turned out okay, I guess. But you know, some of you are going to be angry about what I'm about to say, but it's okay. And some of you will completely understand this. When a man and a woman separate, divorce, whatever, and they have children together, why is it that the mother, in most cases, and sometimes the man, if he's petty, the mother tells the children bad things about their father? Why not let these children have a relationship with both parents, a relationship that they don't have to hide, or a relationship that fulfills them and lets them have a childhood, lets them not feel guilty for loving mom and dad, right? But some of these sick, mentally ill women just degrade the father to the children, in front of the children. And it's never that he's not taking care of them. Well, some of them are deadbeat. Let me just say that, because my father, that sucker didn't do anything for me my whole life. But my mother never told me a bad thing about him. I realized what he was when I was about 12 or 13 on my own. And she still didn't say any bad thing about him. When he died, I was 17. And she literally made us go to his funeral. So anyway, so I say all of this because my husband has been taking care of his children since he separated from his wife. They were teenagers. The youngest one was like 3 years old and the oldest one was probably 13. And so he took care of them. He's still taking care of grown men and women, y'all. They live in Guatemala. But we started working on getting a green card for his youngest daughter when she was maybe 14, 15, something like that. She got it last year in September, and she refused to come after thousands upon thousands of dollars spent. And it was way more than just paying for the green card and everything else that you have to pay for, the lawyers and, you know, travel and all this stuff. It was way more than that, you guys, because he had to pay for her travel, and she wasn't traveling alone. She was bringing the nieces, his grandchildren, and her daughter with her, instead of asking her mother to keep them. So that was extra breakfast, lunch, dinner, extra tickets to travel, and just extra everything, because she would have to stay overnight. So anyway, and I kind of fault him, because once we were like 17, 18, no, you're 18, you better figure it out. And there, some of his kids, his oldest daughter is like maybe 31, and he's still taking care of her children because she left them. They live with his ex-wife, and I wouldn't want him to leave those children starving. But at the same time, we got to do something, y'all, because this is ridiculous. He paid for them he built them a new house. He built one for his son. And you know, homes cost a lot less there, because in the, where they live, Aldea, like it's a little tiny place where everybody knows everybody, way deep in the country. The houses cost less. So he was able to do that. Pays for them to go to school, pays for medical care, pays for food, pays for clothes, everything, you guys. So once his children were grown, he still has responsibilities. So we got his daughter here finally. She was refusing to come, And she didn't want to leave her daughter, which I completely understand. But she should have told us before we paid all this money that she wasn't going to come. So he told her, he said, okay, you have to come here to get a job to take care of your daughter. You know, you have a chance to come here and do something with yourself, and you can come here legally. So he told her, if you don't want to come, then you have to get a job there and take care of your responsibilities. And so she decided to come, because guess what? She doesn't want to work. None of them want to work. So she came. She had 2 days left on her visa, y'all, to enter the United States legally. I had to go to Guatemala to get her. And I say that because she had never flown before, and it's kind of a scary thing when you've never flown. So I went and got her, but my doctor told me not to fly because I had a partially collapsed lung, and they did this test called a D-dimer, and it showed that I had blood clots. And do you know what happens when you fly? If you have a blood clot, it can kill you. But I was feeling better. I could breathe, and I was like, you know what? It's been a few weeks. I'm not sick anymore. I'm not short of breath. I couldn't even sniff, y'all. So I got on the plane and I prayed and I asked God to help me, because we had to get her here so she wouldn't lose her green card. So we got back to the States and she's with us, right? So we set her room up and we bought her clothes and shoes. We helped her. I wrote her. She didn't have a resume, but I did a kind of sort of cover letter type resume showing that she did childcare, because she took care of her own child and she was helping to take care of her sister's children, which her sister abandoned her children. And so we framed it as childcare. And so I went in, her father and I went in with her to the stores, the Latin stores, because she doesn't speak English. And we actually talked to the managers, and she got a job right away. So she didn't want to work, you guys. She was complaining every single day. So we don't charge her rent. We bought all of her clothes, shoes, everything she needed, shampoo, deodorant. She didn't have to buy anything for herself. Toilet paper, toothpaste, toothbrushes. And so she'd been with us since March 12th and never had no food, nothing. The only thing we made her buy was Coke, because we were buying them for her, Coca-Cola, you guys. And she was drinking 2 or 3 per day. And so when she got her first paycheck, her dad said, this is not a necessity. You will be responsible for buying your own Coca-Cola. And then she started, she learned to use the washer and the dryer, and she was putting so much laundry detergent in the washer that it was giving all kinds of crazy messages. So we taught her the proper way to do it. But instead of doing it like we showed her, she was washing one item at a time. And all my stockpile, you guys, I'm not making this up. Anybody who knows me knows I keep a beautiful stockpile, right? I was down to 2 bottles of detergent and barely any dishwashing liquid. And I was like, what is going on? So her father told her, you're going to be responsible for buying your own laundry detergent. So those were the things that she had to buy. She never had to buy food. She didn't cook. I cooked all meals because she didn't want to cook. She said, I don't know how. So I said, well, look, I'll teach you. And then she didn't want to learn. She would just sit there and not participate. I didn't say anything. But my husband saw, and he told her, you don't just sit there, you get up and you learn how to, chop vegetables, and you watch what she's doing. And if you have questions, you ask questions. When he was home, she watched. She didn't do anything else but watch. And when he was at work, she stayed in her bed, or she sat behind me and stared at me. And it was the creepiest thing, y'all, because I actually looked on the camera, because I said it has to be in my mind, but it feels like she's staring at me. And this went on for like weeks before I looked into the camera. And I realized that she was staring at me like she was gonna kill me or something. Like she was looking at me with the most angry face, y'all. And I haven't done anything to this girl ever. So, and this stems back to her mother saying that I took him from them. That man was in the United States for probably 10 or 12 years before I even knew he existed. So they had separated 10 to 12 years before I met him. He had other girlfriends, but because he wanted to marry me and he needed to get a divorce to get married, that's what she fed to her kids. So they just automatically hate me. And she, the ex-wife, was asking the kids how could she get a picture of me, because she does witchcraft, because she was going to put some kind of spell on me. And I'm gonna get to another point about that. So all this time I'm being extremely nice, overly nice. I'm cooking, serving the food, and her dad tells her, you have to wash the dishes. Tessie goes to dialysis. She comes home, she cooks. I was cooking for them, Ozzy and me, because I can't eat the same type of food that they eat. I cannot have potassium. So I would be tired by the end of, and as I'm cooking, I'm cleaning too. So at the end of the meal, there's only the plates that they've eaten in and the spoons, forks, and cups, and she didn't want to do that. So he told her, you have to do it. That is your responsibility after dinner. No pots, nothing, y'all. So she would do it when he was home, but he works out of town a lot. So when he was away, she wasn't doing it. And I was like, I'm not washing her bowl. Just one day, I was just tired of it. I left it in the sink. Do you know that girl left that bowl in the sink for 2 days before she touched it? And so I didn't tell her anything. And y'all, I was bringing her to work and picking her up. And I was like, you know what? She would have to pay an Uber. I was charging her $6 a day to take her to and from work. That's not enough to put gas in the gas tank, right? So, but we were doing this to help her to save money, to build up a savings account, because she's going to have to pay for her daughter to come here legally, right? So, because we're not paying for that. So anyway, she goes to work. This was not this Sunday, not yesterday, but the one before. I worked Saturday 12 and a half or 13 hours, and Sunday also same amount of time. And I was up since 3 o'clock Sunday morning, because I needed to be at work around 4:20, something like that in the morning. So I get home. She was working at the grocery store, and Alex went to pick her up, and she got off at 2. He brought her home, and he got on the interstate to go to his job, which is it's like a 4.5 hour drive. So he's on his way, and I get home at around 6:20. I open the door, and this little guy, Ozzy, he jets out of the house like it's an emergency. He never ever does that. So he runs out, and he's he has to pee and poo. I mean, it was an emergency, y'all. And he doesn't use those puppy pads. He has never used them. He refuses to. He only goes outside. And so I'm like, she usually takes him out, because that's one thing that she did. She was really, really good with him. And so I went in, I called her Maribel. She didn't answer, so I called my husband, because I never confront her about anything. I leave that between them, because, you know, even though she's a grown woman, 22 years old, stepchildren, especially from what I've seen, they don't want the step parent, whether it's the mother or the father, to say anything to them about anything. It causes trouble. So my husband took care of all of that. So we wouldn't have like a strenuous relationship. So I called him and let him know that she wasn't answering to my call, like she wasn't, you know, in the house, because I checked. And remember, we live in a camper. And so it's actually a big camper, y'all. It's like a 40-foot long, and we have 3 slides. Everybody has their own personal space. We have 2 bathrooms, okay? So she was comfortable, and she wasn't anywhere inside. I went back outside, and I'm like, she's not here. So he was like, let me call her and see what's going on, because I dropped her off. And so I see she had a bag outside from her job, and she had bought some Ferrero Rocher chocolates at her job. And the bag was outside with the receipt in it, and it was soaking wet because it had poured down raining. And all of her shoes were there, all of her clothes, her purse with her ID, her money, everything. It looked like somebody just grabbed her and she was gone with no shoes on. And so I don't know, I think Alex maybe called her job or something. I don't remember that part, but to see if maybe she had gone back over there or something. But I called the police, because I went to the neighbors they're always, you know, outside, and they see a lot. There's cameras everywhere. And they hadn't heard anybody scream. They hadn't seen anything, you know, abnormal going on. And so the police came. They did, you know, question me. And from what it looked like she'd been grabbed. And the thing you have to remember is, which I don't know if I told you guys, but she's probably 4'9" or 4'10". She's 22, but she looks like 14 or 15-year-old. She's super tiny. And so they didn't wait the 24 hours for an adult. They started pinging her phone, and they found it at 11 o'clock that night. The phone pinged at an address. So we're outside of the city. The sheriff department came. So they had to wait for the city police to go and knock on that door. And from what I was told, nobody answered, and they didn't have a warrant to get in there. So the next day we were still waiting, and the deputy, or the lieutenant that had come out the night before, he was off for the next 2 days, but he passed on everything personally. And he even texted us to say he was going to be off, but if we needed anything, to please don't hesitate. He was amazing, y'all. So anyway, we call the police department the next morning. Well, first my husband went to her job and asked what time was she going to be at work that day. And they told him. He went back at that time. She wasn't there. Somebody was feeding her information, but we thought somebody had kidnapped her, right? And so the city police came out. They went back to where the phone pinged at. Nobody answered. And so we said, can we go back there? Yes, but you can't knock on that door because it could be a dangerous situation. We do not have a warrant to go in there. It's going to take a little bit for us to try to get in there. And so, you know, they got to go through a judge and all of that. So, but can we drive back there and speak to neighbors? Yes, y'all can. So we went back there, and there was this couple and a little girl outside, and they spoke Spanish, which I'm fluent in Spanish. So we were both speaking with them, asking them, showing them pictures of Maribel. Did they see her around here? And the woman said, no, we didn't see her. She knows somebody back here. And so Alex was like, she works at the market. And he said the name of the market. And the woman was like, my sister works there. And we were like, oh, can we speak to her? Well, come to find out, the same house that the phone pinged at was her sister's house. Okay. So we went over there. Well, Alex was already gone. He was knocking on the door, and the little girl that was out there, she was about maybe 12, 13. She ran over because she said, that's my mom. So she, in Spanish, she went up there. The woman came out, and I told the first woman that we spoke to, I said, well, the police knocked on her door and she didn't open it. I said, that phone pinged over there, and she's going to be in some trouble if we can't find her. So she called her and told her what I said, but it was too late because she was already outside. And so she did not want to help us. She said, yes, she was here last night because she knew she was going to be in some trouble if we couldn't find her. So she said she was here last night, but a car drove up this morning and she left. Who did she leave with? What did the car look like? Was the next question. And she said, I don't know who she left with. And it was dark. It was like before day. So it was a dark color car. That's all I know. And she didn't speak English either. So I was like, I said, well, can you call her? Because this girl, my stepdaughter, would not answer our text messages or our phone calls. So Alex called his son in Guatemala to see if they had spoken with her, because we thought somebody had kidnapped her, right? So he said, let me see what's going on. So he actually got to speak with her because she answered the phone. And so he calls his daddy back and tells him, she says that y'all are mistreating her. And he was like, what does she mean? Y'all rules. Y'all have too many rules. And every grown up has rules. Like, she's a grown woman. That's what he said. Her only rule is you wash your own clothes and you wash the dishes. And that was too much for her, y'all. So that caused a rift between him and his son, which was already not a perfect relation. Well, no relationships are perfect, but it wasn't a very good one because of what I told you guys about the mother. And so anyway, so we knew she was alive. And so now the co-worker / friend that she'd been with the night before told him, well, I'll call her. So she called her and she answered the phone, and he got to talk with her, and she was upset because when he picked her up from work, he said, I'm leaving to go to work. He said, when I'm gone, the rules are the rules. You have to wash your dishes. You have to take your own trash out. And I forgot. Oh, and you have to do your clothes. You just, you can't not do anything. You can't just sleep all day, go to work and come home and not do anything. Because remember, she didn't even have to cook. I was doing all that. So she got highly pissed because he said, you have to help Tessie. And when he said my name, that's what drove her. She didn't want to be there anymore. That's what we were told by somebody, that she said that he was taking my side. I didn't have a side. Those were his rules. And she was also pissed off because he told her, you can't just walk in the house and not say hello. That's not my rule. It didn't matter if she told me hello or not. It really didn't. And I didn't know he had that rule until all this happened. And he saw her walk into the house the night before all this happened, and she didn't say anything to me, and I was in the kitchen washing dishes. And he talked to her about that the next day before he left, when he picked her up from work. And she just didn't want to be with us anymore because she's unruly. So another thing she was doing was she was putting half-drink water bottles underneath her bed. And that was something that he recognized that her mother used to do. It was part of some witchcraft thing. Like you can catch evil spirits in there and then give that water to somebody else that you want to curse. So you guys, I did not know anything about witchcraft or that actually existed, those water bottle things. But she was offering to make my coffee. Well, not make the coffee. She was offering, like, she filled up the coffee pot with water. And something deep in my soul told me, do not drink that water, because this girl never offers you anything. So I thanked her and I said, oh, I'm not going to drink any right now. I'll do it later. I said, and you know, I don't want to just leave the water sitting in there. So I poured it out and I washed out the coffee pot. And y'all, I looked towards her. This girl was fuming mad that I did not drink that. So he told her no more bottles. Well, when she ran away, we found more bottles that she had hidden. Anyway, it's a lot, y'all. So he talked to her. We found out where she was. The friend, she shared her location with her friend, but her friend was giving us the wrong unit number. It was in a trailer park, and she was giving us number 37, but it was really, and she gave me number 60, but it was really number 61. So, but we found her, and the sheriff department had to come out because now it was outside of the city limits again. And she walked up to us and she hugged me and started crying and was refusing to hug her dad. I'm like, but I hugged her back, you know, and I told her I was so happy that she was safe, and I meant that, y'all. And I told her, if you ever want to come back, let us know. But I've since changed my mind. She's not welcome to live with us ever again. And if that causes a problem between Alex and I, then we have a problem. I'm not putting myself through anything like that again. And just, it was hard, y'all. It was like the nicer I was to her, the more horrible she was to me. The way she looked at me, like she would just sit and stare and frown. And when her mother or her sister would call, she would get worse. But I never said a mean thing to this girl, ever. I spent my money on her. You know, I bought her pizza. When she first came here, I was taking her to different restaurants, showing her different things. And we were trying to get her to go and take driver's lessons, because in Louisiana, you have to go to driver's school to get your driver's license. And she kept on not wanting to go. And I was like, I'll give her my car and I'll take yours and you can get a new truck. That was the plan. But I'll never be that stupid. I was doing that for my husband. This is not happening again. So anyway, sometimes when you try to be kind to others, they disrespect you and they look at you. They take your kindness for stupidity or weakness. Another thing that she was doing, I kept getting sick over and over and over again. And I suffer through a lot of pain because of the iron in my liver and my spleen. And every time I was in pain or nauseous or couldn't move, I was in so much pain, this girl would start laughing. And I told my husband about it, and he just couldn't believe it until he saw it with his own two eyes. And I don't know if he talked to her, but she never did it again when he was home. But when he went to work, I was throwing up one day because the iron in my liver causes me to have a lot of nausea. And I got overdosed at the dialysis center for years with iron. So, and it just accumulated in my organs. She was laughing and I didn't say anything to her. That doesn't make me a fool. Okay. because God handles people like that. So guess what? I told him, let her keep the phone because she's living with strangers. She's living with co-workers that she's only known since April. And she's complained about them and said things about them. And this is the third co-worker since a week ago that she's moved in with, because she said the other ones were nasty. Well, you had a nice, clean place to live, but you didn't want it. And she said things about, horrible things about blacks, about dark-skinned people, y'all, and would laugh at black hair like mine. And she can just stay where she is. She's no longer welcome, and I don't feel bad about it. But I did tell him, let her keep the cell phone. We are paying for that phone, and she may need it to call him. She does talk to him now because she knows she's going to need him. But she may have an emergency living with these strange people, and I want him to be able to help her, because I don't hate the girl. I just don't like her. The things that she has done, the harm that she has caused. I didn't even go to my dialysis treatment that Monday, last Monday, because we were still looking for her. We didn't know if she was dead or alive, because we didn't have all of the information, you know, from the son saying that he spoke with her, and then the friends. We didn't have that information yet Monday morning. And so I didn't go to my treatment until Wednesday, and I hadn't been since that Friday. I worked Saturday and Sunday, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 12 and a half to 13 hours. Didn't sleep Sunday night. And Tuesday I was supposed to go to dialysis, but something happened when we called to see if I could go. The girl in the office said, oh, it's too late. But she didn't even speak to the nurse. She lied and said it was too late, which is, I knew she was lying though. But now everybody knows she lied, because I didn't keep my mouth shut. I told what she said. But guess what? She didn't get any, I don't know if they talked to her about it, but she's still there. Anyway, y'all, it's so many demonic things going on in this world, so many hateful people, and I'm just never doing anything for my stepdaughter, ever. I'm not helping her with anything. And like I said, if that causes a problem between me and my husband, we just gonna have a problem. So, and he needs help.